Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Cubby Holes. This is a Mountainpeek Creations pattern. So this was my April project. Full on, this was supposed to be the thing that I was supposed to finish and do and get it done this year. The top has been done since August of 2020. I'm sure people, those of you who quilt frequently probably have projects like this that just sits around until you finally finish it. This is one of mine. Main problem is this is not my type of thing. Christmas fabrics are not my jam. If I'm going to do a holiday, it's going to be Halloween. The pattern itself was fine from what I remember. I don't like long borders, so that's a pain, but I probably will do this again because I have a ton of panels and I don't know what to do with them. That's just the state of things. I had to quilt this thing though. I already had backing. And I ended up deciding to just try to do my best. I at first was really reluctant to do anything but walking foot stuff. I ended up free motion quilting. I tried to do some swirls and stuff on it. I'm going to be honest, I'm not super pleased with the swirling and everything. It's fine. This is after a pre-wash. I'm gifting this to somebody, so I wanted to wash it before I gave it to them. So it's a little more wrinkly and puckered up than it usually is because I do not pre-wash my fabrics. I'm not going into that debate with people. I have to pay for every load of laundry. So for me, avoiding the $3 or whatever actually helps me a ton. So I just avoid it altogether by that, It went through the wash fine, y'all. Nothing bled. It was great. So I'm super happy with that particular one. It was frustrating to make though, that snowman quilt. I really didn't enjoy any of it. Whereas this quilt that we're now looking at, this is Paroma. I don't know. It was in a quilt magazine recently. I saw it and I went, I have to make it. I had looked at my stash a couple months ago and had, counted all my fat quarters and I had counted all of my yardage. And I had 164 fat quarters or something in there. So around 160 fat quarters. And I was like, I need to use these. I love fat quarters. I love using fat quarters. So it wasn't like a problem in that sense, but it was just like, I have a lot of fat quarters. Why do I have so many fat quarters? And when I saw this pattern, I was like, I bet you I have 20 fat quarters I can use for this. So I did my whole thing of pulling out fabrics, trying to line them up, that whole process. And I ended up with this. This has, I think, around 16 fat quarters, and then I pulled some yardage from the rest of my stash so things would be cohesive and everything. This is not a quilt that has fabric in it that I'm like, oh my god, I love this fabric. Except for the blue floral with that teal blue swirlies. That's the only thing that I was like, oh, this blue floral is gorgeous. The current square I'm working on is that one that I'm basting. That's the blue floral that I love. I don't particularly care though for most of this fabric. It's fine. The butterflies, the florals, most of it's fine, but it's not fabric I'm in love with. So when I made this, I was kind of like, whatever. And then about 2/3 of the way through, I was like, oh, I really like this quilt. This is a really pretty quilt. Unfortunately, it doesn't capture on camera, or at least my camera, as well as it does in person. I loved this quilt so much that I was like, I have to show this off. I can't just let this hide in my room, basically. I was like, I need to show people because this is gorgeous. And so I had shared it on Discord and stuff, but I had a quilt class coming up that I was like, hey, some of my friends who are on Discord are gonna see it. Both of them were like, so much better in person, not as great in your pictures. And I'm like, agreed. And one of them who sews and is now starting quilting, but she is a very good garment sewer and stuff and understands points matching and how important that is, was like, you could sell this. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. It meant a huge thing to me. I have started to consider possibly selling some of the stuff I make, but I'm having a hard time with it. I'm not going to lie. So, because I've been looking into options and I'm not liking most of the options. So if you have ideas or anything, you're more than welcome to comment below because I would be happy to hear of alternatives and stuff. But yeah, so I am now reluctantly, in this footage, I'm kind of reluctantly basting it. I bought backing for it, and I thought that would be a little harder so I could buy my time from quilting it because I wasn't sure how I was going to quilt it. But I found backing right away. And so I was like, well, I should probably baste it. So now here I am basting it. And I am going to be showing you that I did start quilting it. As crazy as that is, I did start quilting this. I really am not super pumped about my quilting. One, I'm free motioning. I'm not very good at free motion. I have a 7-inch neck domestic machine with no extra table. I have a box that I've kind of like just slam up next to my machine to give me a little bit extra room on the left side that I can fiddle it with. But besides that, it's a tight space to be working with. It's not great, and I'm impatient. I am not somebody who's very good about keeping a consistent stitch length. Now I know you're supposed to do the whole make a sample quilt block, do your test pattern on it, that whole process. This year, I have given myself permission to crash and burn. This is a year of finishing projects, whatever it takes. This is not a year of making the most perfect, national worthy quilt. That's not my jam anyway. But now that I'm considering selling and stuff, I kind of want my quilts to look nicer. So I'm getting to a point where I'm like, oh, if my piecing is so good, it would be really nice to have the quilting look so good. And I'm running into this issue where my quilting is not so good. And it's just due to me being impatient, let's be real. The thing is that I did the last quilt, the Cubby Hole snowman quilt, where I was just like, cool, I'm just gonna do it just to do it. And I ended up liking the border. For the most part, it was swirly and fun, and I thought that was fun and cool. And on this one, I was like, I don't know if I can get away with anything like that. I did discuss with my partner about how to quilt it. He is awesome about that stuff, which is very nice. And he at first was like, a gold thread, like a metallic gold thread. And I was like, I'm not messing with a metallic thread on this quilt. It's just not the time. I don't particularly trust metallic threads that are pure metallic, obviously. But I didn't want to have to go hunting for thread for this particular quilt. So I was like, well, thoughts on a yellow. And I'm using yellow for the top. I did use white on the bottom. I have a problem with peaking, or my tension has problems. I don't know. I have tried everything. This machine does not have bottom tension adjustments though, which drives me up the wall. I want to be able to adjust the tension on the bottom. Every time I free motion quilt, I have tension issues, like huge tension issues, and it never works out. I never have a good time. It's never fun. It's just a pain. So it's something's peeking through one way or the other. It's one way or the other, because like it's never just the one way. It feels like although I do crank my tension up at top in order to get it to work, because it feels like the bottom constantly pulls all that thread down. So I don't know what I'm doing. It's just not been working. I crank it up to like, it usually lives at like a 4, and I'm like at a 7 like when I'm doing this. It's just such a pain. I don't know, y'all. If you have like ideas of what could make domestic free motion quilting easier, that would be wonderful, because I genuinely have a hard time with this. It's so bad. But yeah, if you've got tips, tricks, please let me know. I would be happy to take them. Also, if you know where to sell quilts, let me know. I have missed all of the like craft fair show dates that I was interested in possibly doing this summer. Those all ended like over a month ago. So yeah, I'm just a little frustrated while recording this, because it's just been like a bit of a frustrating last 48 hours of trying to work on this quilt, trying to figure out if I want to sell my quilt, all that stuff. It's just been a bit of a pain. The good news is I have rolled for May. It's only a table runner I'm working on, so I'm hoping to finish up a couple other quilts this month. So should end up being okay. Hopefully you guys all have a wonderful day. Keep on sewing. Let me know in the comments what you think of this quilt or my cubbyhole snowman quilt. And let me know if you like the voiceovers. It's easier for me, but let me know if this is of interest to you or if you would rather see my face more. Either one works. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Keep sewing, doing the thing. Yay!